everyone, and welcome to Let's Have Cocktails. Yay! So, welcome everyone to part 2 of relationships. So, we're going to just pick up where we left off. We have, oh my goodness, a lot of content. So, we're going to dive in. But, of course, we have to start off with our Roxapy. So, Roxy?
So today we kept it a little bit simple with a classic margarita.
Oh, my fave.
Yeah, which is her fave. It's just, monitor your own tequila. I'm not going to tell you how much to put in there. But we do about 2 to 3 ounces of tequila. Whatever mix you prefer. We use Tapper's Mixologist Margarita Mix, which is so good. Topped with a little bit of lime juice and garnished with an actual lime. So you get that fresh pop of lime juice as well. So yeah, get you one. Sit down and let's talk.
Okay. And it is really delicious. Like I say, margaritas are my fave, especially when they strong.
That's why I said the percent. Like 30.
Okay, so we're picking up where we left off. So we did something interesting this go round. So we had everyone take the test for the 5 love languages and also the Briggs-Myers personality test. So everyone, let's give our results for the 5 love language test. Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Okay.
So we're doing our top 2. Right?
Ashley?
Okay. So my number 1 was 33% was quality time, which may surprise my friends because I like being by myself. And then the second one is physical touch, which was 23%.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that for you. Who wants to go next?
For mine, it was 37% for acts of service.
Giving them gifts. Okay.
It was not gift giving. No.
Oh, okay.
Acts of
Just
service
helping
meaning
her
to
out.
ease
Oh,
instead of
putting
putting
putting gas in her car.
Yeah.
Right, getting her car washed.
Buying her liquor.
Yes, y'all know what to do. And my second one was at 23% physical touch. So
Okay. I guess I'm just surprised how quality time would have been up there.
Well, quality time was right there at 20% next, but we said top 2, so I didn't want it.
My top 2 is
Raw.
physical touch, and my second one was quality time.
Okay. That's kind of
Well,
neck and neck. I see.
Yeah. My first one was quality time, 30%, and physical touch was the second one, 27%.
Why you cheating?
I'm just like,
She
They go
blushing.
ahead.
Nikki blushing.
Mix it
Right
up,
behind each other.
chill out.
D, what's yours?
My top 2 were words of affirmation and quality time.
Okay. Well, my top one was quality time, 33%. I actually thought it would have been higher, but okay. My second one was words of affirmation. It was 27%, so that kind of shocked me. But yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
So what did you all think about your results?
I was a little taken aback a little bit because I felt like quality time was at the top, but it's like number 3. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of didn't realize that I care more about people coming in and taking off that burden off my shoulder more so than, doing the quality time. We can be spending time together while you please rub my back. It's been so long. That's an act of service. Or folding these clothes or something like that, So yeah.
Mine was a little somewhat the same because at the same time, like mine just switched. Like physical touch used to be the number 1, and then quality time was always the second. So I guess like the older I got, the time spent is more important than like us just having sex or just doing whatever.
Okay.
Well, touching is
Touching
missing
ain't
just
just sex.
sex.
I
only time you touch it?
I just went to the extreme when I said it.
Okay. We gotta check something.
I just went to the extreme when I said it. That's all.
So, Raw and D, were y'all results, were they shocking, or you pretty much knew that that's what it would be?
Well, I did the test when, like I said, you go to counseling on your own before you can get into a relationship. And I did the test on my own to find out, what is it? What is my love language? And of course, there's not another story. Physical touch was right. Quality time, I thought, should have had a higher percentage because they're to me neck and neck. I don't want to have physical touch without quality time anymore.
Right.
Yeah, and for me, words of affirmation, I knew, because I'm always like, she's very supportive, and that's what I like. And she's very, a lot of times I'll be like, are you sure? So I need that confirmation that, things are okay, or, it's okay for you to move into this venture, right? So I had this big elaborate plan for my own business for years, but I never did it until she came along and was like, oh, you can do that, right? And I've been pretty successful at it, and she's always like, oh, you can do it, always taking the fear away from me and saying, do it, what do you have to lose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Okay. Ashley?
They right on. What's
Right
weird
on,
about
sister.
what's weird about mine is I definitely need that quality touch and physical time with
Quality
time,
Quality
physical
time.
touch.
and liquor.
and physical touch. But what's weird with me is that if I'm dating somebody that I'm really not interested in, those qualities I don't need those. I kind of like shy away from them. But if I'm with somebody I'm really attracted to and I want to be with, then they're heightened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
if you don't like them, shit.
I want you touching me. And I want to spend no time.
Just bring me gifts.
I need my personal space.
That, yeah.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah. I mean, for me, my quality time I knew would be at the top. I just thought the percentage would have been higher.
It was pretty high. You had 33%?
I thought it would have been way more.
You thought it would be half?
Half. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I thought it would have been a tie between quality time and physical touch, but words of affirmation. And I think when I guess like I've told y'all off air, was with words of affirmation, I just looked at it as people just complimenting you. Compliments. That's what I thought words of affirmation was. And I'm like, I don't need that. I don't even want that. But someone to watch what you're doing and to be interested and pay attention and just, to be sitting somewhere and your partner's like, man, you did a really good job today. Like, I was proud of you.
Yeah.
I listened to your podcast and, just
It was on
y'all
point.
did that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff, it does mean a lot to me. So, it did shock me, but I get it. And physical touch was number 3 for me. So, because I do need to be physically touched.
Block and drop it.
You did something.
Okay, so.
But I think what's really important about the love languages is to know yours so you can communicate that with your partner. But also when you with somebody, it's all about loving them the way they need to be loved.
Important.
Like, for me, I like that quality time. And that's my partner giving me that makes me feel loved. But they may like words of affirmation. So I need to not give them that quality time, but give them their words of affirmation to make them feel loved.
But there's a fine line in finding out what you need and what they need too. Because if you constantly giving to somebody else's love language, you're not feeding yourself with it.
You gotta
So
find a healthy balance.
yeah, like
Yeah,
if
definitely.
yours is quality time and she wants you to rub her feet or her back, then you're spending that intimacy time, and there's gonna be more intimacy for you. So you want to spend that time as you
Yes.
can.
It's just about communicating and being receptive.
Right.
I mean, it's a back and forth.
And that's very true, because I have come to learn that, because me as a Cancer, one of our traits is very nurturing and loving. So I feel like
Really, that's a Cancer trait, love and nurture.
it really is.
And very
Oh.
And
emotional.
so, and I feel like in relationships, I love so much. And my partners have told me, that you're very loving. And so I feel like that I'm loving you the right way. But the truth is, I've learned in this past relationship that how I love you may not necessarily be how you need to be loved,
Right.
and that's something you have to pay attention to. So I have gotten recently more into the love language.
And the funny part for me was, at the bottom of mine is words of affirmation. Yet I used to absolutely hate. Like, I felt like you had to keep validating somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, you thinking that somebody constantly complimenting you all day long. And until I understood what the words of affirmation really meant to the other person, then that's the only time I could actually give it the way it should have been given. Because I think everybody I've dated just about, that was their love language. And until I understood exactly what that entails, and you gotta know, like, if you don't like to say you good job, attaboys, then you don't need to date that person, no matter how fine they may be, this, that, and the other, because in the long run, neither one of you are gonna be fulfilled
Yeah,
with
because
that situation.
It's going to be exhausting for you to keep doing something that doesn't come naturally, or that you don't feel like you need to do.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So guys, and everyone out there, once you listen to this, let us know, like, what is your top love language, and what are your thoughts about it after you take the test. Also, we did the Briggs-Myers personality test. So that was very interesting as well. So I'll start with Ashley. What was your top result?
So my code on the personality test is INFJ. I'm an advocate according to them. I am 76% introverted, more intuitive, more feeling than thinking, more judging than prospecting, and more turbulent than assertive. Which is pretty spot on, especially with the introvertedness.
Roxy. Oh, do you have more?
No, ma'am.
Roxy.
For me, I was considered the defender, which was ISFJ/T. That's a lot. It said that I was 69% introverted, which is a little stretch, I feel like, because I feel like I could be like 50-50 or something like that. 81% observant, which is spot on. I go more so with feelings versus, what was it? Thinking, yeah. 67% on that. Judging was at 65% versus prospecting, and then 76% turbulent versus assertive. So, I mean, overall, once I read everything and really put everything into perspective, it was pretty spot on. Like, it's crazy that a test could really tell you your actual self.
But what does it mean to be turbulent versus assertive?
The turbulent, what was that? I just
Like
read
conflict,
that, actually. I gotta actually look at it. Let me see.
We'll look at it and then we'll come back and explain the turbulent versus.
Okay. So Nikki, what was your top personality trait?
Mine was ENTP. It said I was extroverted, which is very weird. But my extrovert compared to introvert was 54% extrovert. So to me, that's kind of like borderline in the middle.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really pick a side on that one. And with intuition, it was 92% intuition, 8% sensing. And as far as thinking versus feeling, mine was 65% thinking, 35% feeling. So I think the shit through. That's why when I'm arguing with people, I literally don't want to argue like right then, because I need to think about what I'm gonna say first, because I can't like go back and forth with you, because I might say something that I really don't mean. So I need to think about it first. And what was the last one? Perceiving. I think it was 71% perceiving and 29% judging. So I would rather, go off my perspective than to judge you. Mm-hmm. And that was mine.
Okay. Very interesting. My top one was, the letters were INFP. So the top is the healer. So I guess, yeah. Once I read into it made sense, where you're more concerned about others than yourself a lot of the time. So I think that makes sense. I was 70% introverted, 70% intuition as opposed to sensing. My value style was 85% feeling, which I totally agree with that. My life management style, 68% perceiving as opposed to judging. So, and once I read more into detail, like Roxy, like you said, it's very shocking how spot on it is. Even I was reading more, like even before we started, and y'all saw my face. I was like, oh my God, oh my word. So I was clutching my pearls a little bit. But yeah, if you all get a chance, I definitely recommend taking this personality test. It's very enlightening. So, and then did y'all want to go back? Okay.
So to answer your question about assertive versus turbulent, so assertive individuals are self-assured, even-tempered, and resistant to stress. Turbulent individuals are success-driven, perfectionists, and eager to improve.
Oh, okay. I would definitely be turbulent.
Yeah. Now I understand more so.
That's why we had that balance.
Awesome.
So the reason we chose to do these tests is just because on the topic of relationships is because we do feel these things are very important. Mm-hmm. When you're getting into relationships, you need to know it's not just about learning your partner, but it's learning yourself, knowing yourself, because that's going to help in the relationship. And if you plan to be in a relationship for a long time, then you grow. I don't like to say necessarily change, but grow, throughout that relationship. So, moving right into
the good stuff.
So, going into relationships part 2. So, I have a question for you all. We're just going to dive right in.
What's up? Let's go.
And I want y'all honest opinion.
Yeah.
Not that y'all don't give it. So, could you all be in an open relationship?
No. Thank you.
But wait a minute. Before y'all know that. So is it an entwinement or entanglement? That's what it is. An entanglement, or is it a relationship? That's what we need to clarify.
Okay. So
it's a relationship. She clarified that. Y'all don't have
I just want to know what the entanglement is.
Will had to put it on the table. Let's call a spade a spade. It was a relationship.
Let's just say this. Jada is a Virgo.
Exactly.
And she never
ever
wanted to get on camera and say that she was in a relationship with somebody during her marriage. Okay?
Yeah, Virgos are not.
Exactly.
But for the record, wait a minute.
All she did was tiptoe around the shit and try to smooth it around.
She didn't tiptoe.
When I say tiptoe, I'm talking about using the word entanglement.
Well,
instead of calling it what it was.
Wait a minute. No. Listen.
Because Will had to call her out.
Will had to call her out. Listen, y'all. Let me give you the definition of entanglement, because we all making jokes because of what she said and because she did not say relationship. But the definition of an entanglement a complicated or compromising relationship or situation.
So
And it
guess what?
says
She was.
romantic entanglements. So she actually, and that's the thing about Virgos,
Did they
they're
make-
going to choose their words very
Very
carefully and wisely. So when she said entanglement, she knew what she was saying. It just like the definition says, it was a complicated situation. So she actually called it what it was, to be honest. So we making jokes about it because it sounded funny, because
Who says
Most people are
entanglement?
Who
open.
But
says
my
yes.
question
People
is,
are
did
unfamiliar
Wikipedia
with that
just
word.
come up with that after Jada came
no,
up with
that's
it?
the
Or is this
definition
before
if you
or
look it up.
No, but Jada knew that definition before she got her ass on that shit.
Wait. The only reason why Roxy is defending her is because she's a Virgo.
No,
Let's
but
put that out there.
But I'm defending her too because I feel like she called it what it was.
Hey.
I honestly don't see
I
anything
get
wrong
it.
with an open relationship. The key to the open relationship is actually being open. You can't say, "Oh, I'm gonna." We have an open relationship, and I don't know anything about anything that you do.
They get
So,
too complicated.
Well, you lay out
But,
rules,
but
just like
that it
anything
goes
else.
back to communication.
Mhm.
So you sit down with your partner and say, "This is a deal breaker for me. This is a deal breaker for you," and let's talk about all the things in between.
And even
But there's
before you
there's always gonna come up different situations
you
that
talk about it. You come up with a situation.
Right.
There's these gray
I
areas,
don't
right?
feel as if they have enough time for another person when they dealing with me. I really don't.
Oh, okay.
and I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be honest with you all.
'Cause
I've
you glued to
personally
her.
but
I've personally never been in an open relationship in my relationship because with me and mine, the door is closed. It's locked, throw away the key. However, I have entered into someone else's open relationship.
okay, now let me ask you this: were they secure in their relationship before they brought you into the
Baby,
relationship?
I don't know what they were, but what I learned that they were not is secure.
Right,
Okay?
exactly. So,
So-
that's the problem.
And I've done it twice. So this is
First one was
you
just a
just-
test.
So you just want to try it?
no, I didn't know. I won't. Well, after the second one, it's like it's a no go for me. But this is the thing. What I've learned, and I've also this is based on my own experience and knowing couples that are in open relationships. And so what I'm saying is, what I've seen with my own eyes, I do not believe that open relationships work because at some point in the relationship, it gets too complicated.
Too messy.
It gets too messy, too complicated. So for me, I feel like it's a struggle enough when you're in a relationship. You're getting to know yourself. You're getting to know that partner, and God forbid if you bring into children. You know what I'm saying? All these different factors that you're bringing in, and then I gotta bring in another person, and I gotta get accustomed to you and learning you and this. No, I can't. It's too much. It's just way too
What we
much.
eating? Like, we gotta get 3 people to figure out what we eating.
What we about to
It's
eat
hard.
at?
I mean, but you define the concept of your open
Open
relationship, right?
Yeah.
So is it just am I bringing more of a poly situation, and are we just bringing somebody in sexually for you, for me, for us? So you got to define what that is and how that's going to work for you.
How often? Because what people say is, "Oh, we in an open relationship," and they don't discuss any of the details of what your perception of it is and what my perception of it is may be totally different.
Yeah.
I've been in a situation where someone has said, "Okay, we're in an open relationship." Well, for me, I need to know who you're messing with because my life is in danger. I don't know what that person's doing, whether you're being safe or not. I don't know if they're being safe, so I need to know something about them. I don't want to know that you went out with them yesterday and you did X, Y, and Z, but I know if something comes up, I know who to go to. So that for me, I need that. Now, for the other person, that made them uncomfortable. So this is not a situation we can enter into or that we can maintain because we don't have the same ideas and the same thought process when it comes to this.
Yeah.
And what is the true reason why we're in this open relationship is what we need to get to the root of. Because if I'm having a open relationship, do I have a commitment issue or I need multiple? Or is my love language not being spoken directly? You're speaking all the other ones. You're doing that because I got 5 of them. But the one that I need the most to feel more fulfilled, you're not hitting it.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you capable of doing it?
That's a good-
That's a very good question.
So,
So, Ashley?
no. I was gonna say, so basically, what it comes down to having, I have no experience, but it sounds like
Mama.
what it comes down to is, which is any relationship, is just communicating and communicating openly.
Not what I find a lot of people when I talk about relationships all the time is that people I want you to think I'm the purest, sweetest, innocent thing that you ever seen, and nobody, you gotta protect it and be. That's the way people want to be perceived.
I'm far
But
from it.
exactly, like I said, here's my list. Pick out what you can't handle. If you, that's my number one right there. You might as well go ahead and move on, because if I know that that's not a flaw, I'm willing to change and willing to grow from. You have a lot of change and growth. I mean, the person I was at 20 and the person I am at 40, that's two whole different people. Now, a lot of people may see me still as that crazy, wild 20-year-old. Hey, let's go. Or I'm gonna walk into somewhere, and I was extremely shy. But you would never know that I was shy, because I would just boom. I'm gonna perform, and then here we go. I'm having this conversation. I'm gonna make you do what I'm scared to do easily, and that was my way of being extroverted. But keeping that, trying to bring that into another relationship because I'm trying to fill in what they wanted me to be, is a lot of work. And if my language wasn't being spoken to, then we're going to have constant problems. I'm going to leave that person. I'm going to be with another person in an open relationship. So if Jada was in a relationship for, August, for how long?
She didn't say
How long he
years.
said? Years.
Yeah.
That means she wasn't just. We've always had speculations that what's going on in theirs, and they're open enough with the public. It's not our business who you doing behind your closed doors. It's just art. We want to know so much about people's sex that we get obsessed with it. Their marriage is working. They've been married for longer than we probably been in relationships combined. So it works for them.
It works.
Whatever happened with that made your grandmother and grandfather's relationship last as long as it did may not work for your mama, but that doesn't mean it didn't work. So that's the way we have to look at it.
That's my view on relationships and marriage, period. Like, what works for me and mine, it might not work for you and yours. But at the same time, we have to be together on what we want for us. It doesn't matter what somebody else says. It's all about us. Yeah. That's the whole reason we're together. Now, if you can't deal with the criticism that's coming from the outside, we need to have a discussion. Right. But in my mind, it's like, okay, it's about us. So whatever we want and whatever works for us, that's what goes.
So are you saying you can be in an open relationship?
Oh no, that's why I said whatever we want. That's not what I want. Okay. That's not what we want. That's not what we want. That's not what we want.
So if somebody that you have been with, you had a deep bond with, and they came to you and said, you know what, I know you're trying to speak my love language, but it's just not in your personality. You looked at your personality chart. You looked at your love language. And it doesn't, everything else lines up with us. But this one thing that I really need, it's a struggle for you. I don't want you to struggle in loving me. So there is somebody out there who speaks my language. I'm attracted to them. Are you open to that?
Well, I feel like there needs to be a lot of conversation. A lot surrounding that. And I don't know. Like, to me, like, off rip, I would say no. But if I love this person enough, and we've been together a while, and we've had these, and you are really adamant about how you're feeling, it's a lot of conversation that surrounds that. We need to talk about us. We need to go to counseling, and we really need to figure this out if I want to be with you. But if I don't want to do all that, then it's a no for me.
I think that's a good answer. That's a good answer, Nikki. I like that. I mean, I still don't. I guess just because of my past experience, I just don't think that I could do it in my relationship. But I'm definitely, let me be clear, I'm not judging anybody else if that's what you right. Do you
Whatever works for you and
because
yours.
what goes on in your household has nothing to do with
Nothing
me.
at all.
So I'm not against it. I'm just saying for me, I don't think I could handle it. Let me phrase it like
But
that.
even when she said it, she didn't say it related to sex, did you?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't
open
have to relate
relationship
to
doesn't
sex.
doesn't always.
It
lead to
could
sex.
really be something else. Like, and you know, you just really have to have that conversation to figure out what it is.
Okay, so you said your past relationship was in London. They lived in London, and yours is quality time. So, at what point, what level of okay, I care for you enough that I know that you need to spend time with someone. And though I'm away and the time differences and things like that, go out, have fun, don't have sex. You can't have sex, but you can go out and enjoy the company of someone else.
Never.
Whenever you feel like you want to go out and date.
Never.
What if they said that to you?
She said never.
First of all, okay, let me be honest. We did have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So, and let me tell you how it went. This was, I say, within 6 months, maybe, of the relationship. And she asked me, would I be upset if, while we're apart, she did have a friend out there, but I'm, the person that she's with, that person would be made well aware of me. And so my response was, okay, so this what we doing? She said, no, I'm saying me. I was like, oh no. if a Neek ain't gonna have somebody here in the US, then you not gonna have nobody in the UK. Like,
Right.
So, and I said, but if that's what you want to do, because I do get, we are far, far, far apart. And at that point, we did not know when we were going to be able to see each other. So I said, okay, if this is what we want to do, and I was like, let's just decide how are we going to go about it. And spending time, I said, is sex going to be involved? She was like, I don't want nobody touching you. And I was like, okay, so you're proving my point. We can't do this. Because there is no way you can expect me to be okay with you doing it and not be okay with me doing it. So you've proven my point that ain't going to work. So if you want to be with somebody else, let me know. And we need to separate, Mm-hmm. And she was like, okay, just forget this conversation because I don't want you with anybody else.
So do you think that 6 months was is that a conversation you should have in the beginning, just like when we're getting to know each other or just friends hanging around and you sitting there having a conversation, if it's just a general conversation that should be had earlier on? Because 6 months in is a deep-rooted emotional relationship for most people. I mean, especially with lesbians, you damn near married at 6 months, and now you're bringing this into it.
My
versus
answer
something
wouldn't have changed early on either. Because my thing is, I feel like if I would have said okay to it early on, then what the hell are we going to be building upon? Because if you're out there with someone else, I know me. I'm not going to take it serious. And the thing about me is, if I end up chilling with someone else and I get attached to them and they're here,
It's a wrap.
it's a wrap. Like, because they're here, regardless of what I feel for you, my mind is going to be like, well, they here. You know what I'm saying? So, no, that was a no-go. And that's all I was trying to point out to her. Like, think about how you would feel if I'm doing that. So, if you really love me and care for me, this ain't what you want, for real. You know what I'm saying? So, you just got to know that's why I say I can't do it, because I know I cannot handle it. If I told you I'm okay with it, I'm lying and I'm going to act a fool. So I'm just
Don't lie.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna let you know, open relationships are not for me.
And like you said, now it's getting back to knowing who you are. You know what you can take. Why would you put yourself in a situation that you emotionally and mentally can't handle?
Exactly.
I met this girl once, and I met her with the intention to date her. And me and her had this conversation early off. And she said, she was honest. She said, I want to be in a poly relationship. And she said, I can't see myself being and loving just one person. And it wasn't anything, I didn't get mad at her or anything. It was like, I 100% respect what you want, but that's not something I want to be involved with. And we made the decision right there that we weren't for each other.
Mm-hmm.
But you got people that have that selfish mind. I still want you to be mine. And I know that's not something I can handle. So I'm going to say yes to appease you because I want to keep you as a possession more so than something that I cherish and I respect.
Okay. So,
That's real heavy.
that was a little heavy.
A little more light.
Cause Roxy like, I'm not for it.
No.
Roxy like, what you do? I have nothing else to
Listen.
say. No.
It's a no.
No.
Okay, let's move on.
Wrap it up.
So, okay, to keep it a little light, we're gonna move in a different direction. So, when you're in a relationship, how do you determine when you all should move in together?
How do you
I said
determine
lighter.
that?
Lighter.
Like, so you mean
expect
when does
to
you
live-
all have an opening?
I mean, or do you expect to live together when you're in a relationship as opposed to dating?
What you
We came into it a
Yes.
whole wrong way, so I don't know that we
I
can
wouldn't.
come in on that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to marry somebody that me personally, I wouldn't want to marry somebody that I have not lived with. I feel like you
I agree. I
learn.
definitely feel like you need to live with them. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shacking is pro shack.
Yeah. You
Pro
learn
shacking
so
over here.
much when you
Yes.
live with somebody
Ooh,
versus
praise 'em. Yes.
just stopping by for the weekend.
Right.
It's a lot of things.
Cause
It's
you
like,
control and hide some shit for a
wait a
weekend.
Right. You learn how clean they really keep that tub.
That microwave.
They gotta go with that
Trying to tell you.
Yes.
So what's your perspective on it?
They said they answered it all wrong. So
Just summarize. Just what is your perspective?
I personally would prefer to live across the street or, from the person I'm dating.
across the street.
No,
I'm talking
it's
about
just gonna be a matter of
She said dating.
dating.
I'm talking about in a relationship.
In a relationship, I think that you should live together. I think you learn a whole lot. How soon is the key? Because
What is too soon?
Well, I feel like you need to move in with each other when you're talking about moving into the next step.
what's the
When
next
you're,
step?
when you're talking about moving into like marriage and all that, that's when y'all
into
should
that.
live together.
So Nick, you
Because
wait a minute, y'all.
Because I don't want to live
So you don't want to live with your partner that you're in a relationship with only
right
when-
now.
No, I'm talking about in
no.
general. I'm saying as long as you're in a relationship, you don't want to live together. You think that you should only live together when you're married.
Once we
until
I
they
said
start
once we
thinking
start
about
thinking about marriage together, then we need to start.
I ain't gonna think
Oh,
about
no,
it.
well, I'm
until
thinking
I
about
live
marriage.
with you.
Well, I'm thinking about marriage.
Exactly, but no, you could be.
I'm thinking about marriage when we get in a relationship.
Well,
Okay.
I
So
take
tell
it.
us, tell us y'all.
Dating with a purpose. We talked about this.
I mean, okay, so
on,
going
hold
on
on.
dating with a purpose.
Hold on.
When you meet somebody that you're interested in, there's different levels of different things. For me to move to the next step, first I need to think about it. What the next step really is. Is it us being in a relationship, and what is her definition of a relationship? So it still goes down to understanding what that person wanted. I first meet somebody, I really don't know them. I really don't. I ended up in a situation where I ended up moving in a little quicker than I would have preferred.
What's quicker? What's quicker?
2 weeks.
No, it was more like 3.
It was 2
Oh,
weeks.
that's a
weeks
big
after.
difference. 2
2
weeks
weeks.
or 3 weeks is a big difference.
After
Hell yeah. Trust me, it's a big difference on
It
it.
was 2
3
weeks.
weeks of what?
after meeting each other, after
After meeting each other.
After meeting each other.
Whoa.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, it was about 3 weeks after meeting each other.
Did y'all move into a house or an apartment?
No. Okay, it was a situation that occurred. It was an innocent situation that turned out to be the best thing that ever happened.
Okay, so I'm just gonna tell it what it was, right? So I knew she was married. She was having some issues one day. Her wife was at work, and I went to her house. I gave her medication. We sat and we talked, and I was about to walk out the door. Her wife walks in the door and sees me standing there with my purse about to walk out the door. And she walked in her room and slammed the door, and I was like, all right, I'm out.
Oh yeah, run.
And so I was like, I gotta go, right? Because I never meant to be different. be disrespectful. That's not what it was. I came to bring her some medication.
Yeah, it was literally
very
very
innocent.
innocent.
And I was there for only a short period because her back was hurting. So then her wife had obviously been to the house and saw my car there and called her and was like, well, I'm coming home early. And I was like, oh, well, that's my cue. I'm walking out the door. Well, we stopped to do something because I was going to take you to lunch. And her wife walked in the door. And once she walked in the door, I was like, hi. And at this point, we were just friends. I'm like, hi, I'm Dee. Nice to meet you. And she was just like, what are you doing in my house, basically? And I understand that.
I'm glad. Did the same thing.
And so she walked in the door, walked in her bedroom, and slammed the door. And I was like, okay, I'm leaving. They got into an argument about me being there, which rightfully so. If I had been in her position, I would have done the same thing. And so I was leaving. She called me and she was just like, I have a situation. I need to get out of here. So I turned around. I picked her up. And then their situation started to unravel. And she was like, you can't come home. And I was like, well, I can't just see you out. So you can stay with me. It's not a problem. And that never changed.
Okay.
Oh, so you never moved the fuck out.
But to clarify, like we ended up having a conversation. Our marriage was already over.
Yeah.
But it was, she felt disrespected because someone was in her house. Whether she knew, it could have been.
Right.
I
understand because I'm with her now. It's a certain way, but
it looked
she did not know if that was someone that was there to fix the house, if that was someone that was there for. I work from home, so you didn't know who that was.
Like I told her, a
plumber
woman's
coming at 2.
the woman's intuition in her.
Can we
knew,
talk about intuition? My intuition was 92%.
And then she called you and she gave you for one.
Right, because she said if you called her and she came back and got you. Oh, okay.
If I call you
I'm not with it.
and tell you I'm coming home early, and because I see somebody's car, that's me being nice. Because I'm like, okay,
you were coming home. You were coming home to tell me that you found an apartment. You were moving out. That was the whole thing. We were apart.
Already.
Yeah, we were apart.
Okay.
We were just still married. We conducted ourselves like we were a married couple to the world.
but that was still me being there was very disrespectful.
And I acknowledge that. I acknowledge that. I acknowledge her perspective.
And I acknowledge that as well.
Me personally, I was in a relationship. I had a house. Me and the person I was with broke up. We was living together, but I would never bring anybody into the house. And I'd be damned if she would have walked somebody up in there. You would have had a big issue.
You've been laying in your home for 4 days. You cannot walk. No, I'm saying you cannot walk because you have a back pain. You don't attend to any of my needs. I can't get up and do this, or it takes me an hour to get up and go to the bathroom or something like that. Here's someone else that says, oh, I know what's the problem. I'll bring you something over. I can't get up and come get it. No one else is there to take care of me, to help me with that. So that's how that situation came about. I understood that, yes, we were having problems, and here's this other woman sitting in my house.
Roxy is like,
Even when
Roxy
my
is like,
relationship
I don't
ended,
care if you about dead.
Listen, please don't let me walk up and there's a car in my.
And then the
Out in
kicker
my yard.
is, I'm parked in her parking space.
oh
When she came in and she slammed the door, as she was saying deuces, I was like, okay, let me tend to her. Yeah. I immediately, hurt or not, tended to her, and I had to take care of her needs and her mind. But that's who I am. Let me find out what's going on. What part of this upset you? She wasn't upset about the other woman that was inside of the house. She was upset that something that she wanted wasn't going to happen. It was never about me or what my needs were or any of that. It was always about what she wanted, what she needed, and all that. So it's like, but from the outside looking in, it looked really crazy. So instead of me knowing her history, I decided to remove myself from a situation. And that's when I called her, and I was like, hey, I can't drive. So can you can you come get me? And she came and got me. I stayed at her house, and like you said, I never moved out.
Whew, okay, living together. So we're all in agreement. We're okay with living together while in relationship.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now with living together, that brings about other topics. So when you're living together, are you combining finances, splitting bills? Are you having joint accounts? So what's the money part? What's the money aspect looking like? When this is just a relationship,
This is the
we're not married. We're just living together and we're in a relationship.
I feel like even in a relationship, if you're going to build anything, I think you got to combine, and you got to set some standards for your relationship. If we're gonna be together, then we're gonna build together. I don't want to be in a situation where I'm struggling to pull you up and vice versa. We should be, equals in that, not financial wise, but mindset wise.
Mindset.
Yes, right.
Your goals, your aspirations, what it is that you want to do, and your partner needs to be on the same level with you. Y'all need to be building together, regardless of whether you have or not.
So are you saying, let's say, so is one person paying specific bills? Like, is one person paying the higher bills or something? Like, someone paying the rent maybe because they make more?
Because when you say combining, I'm like, are we combining everything? Like,
for me, I'm like,
break that down.
I'm like this. So if y'all are gonna be in a relationship and y'all living together at this point, right? You're combining your household bills at least, even if you're not combining your personal credit cards and car payment, whatever. You're combining student loans. You're still combining your household income, right?
Right.
So I feel like you need to work together, right? Because the more money you combine, what I found that works in our relationship is the more money that we combined, we pay everything together, right? Even her credit cards, my credit cards, at this point, all of that is together, right? Now we did have to transition to that, because at first,
because that's what I was gonna say.
That's not where
beforehand, I didn't just say, oh, well, put your credit cards out there. I know if you make substantially a lot of money, you probably have a lot of debt. So just being logical with it, I want to know what your debt is, all of that. I'm not, how many people actually feel comfortable saying, well, what, I can ask you what your credit score is all day long. I don't know if that's all credit cards, if that's car, or is that all, how that is mixed up unless I see it. So when we're living together, we both have to stay in this house. We both need the lights on, cable, things like that. So we started off there. Those are both expenses that we both would have had to pay even if we lived separate. Right. So why not combine that? If you are irresponsible with those things, those are your basic needs. Whether I'm here or not, those are your basic needs. If you're irresponsible with your basic needs, we may not be able to build anything else. Because now when I put it into your wants, can we afford your wants? Do you have more wants than you can afford? And can I afford you? Because you may want.
I like that.
Now, Roxy, you can talk to that.
I like that.
But you see people that get in relationships and they're you got one that's the provider, the breadwinner. They're breaking their neck. Then you break up, and then you got all this resentment of, I could have had this, I could have did this. All of these coulda, woulda, shouldas. When you could eliminate that, if they were both building in there, they're going to start to notice that, oh, it costs money to get that new purse, to buy that new car, to go on all these trips. All of this is costing, and it's sharing in it. Now, we're able to go on more trips because it's two incomes. Right. Versus waiting on one or the other to be able to afford it to pay for both people. Yeah. So, people look and say, oh, you've been X, Y, and Z, and y'all always traveling, you're doing this and that. That's because we sat down and we talked about finances. How do you like to spend money? I'm cheap, she's cheap, it works. We're cheap on different things.
Spend all the money. Like, no.
So what is your take on finance?
For me, I've been in multiple situations where one person covered everything and I was just riding away, and then I was also in something where she wanted to go half and half on everything. But for me, I think that it possibly would work best if we did maybe like a percentage or sit down and talk, because just because we're together, we're combining income, doesn't mean that I make the same income that you make. And so it may stress me the fuck out to be paying this amount where you're comfortable and just cruising through.
Right.
And so more on a percentage wise would be best for me in regards to living together, especially like what they said, like the basic stuff, you know, those basic things we definitely need to come to the table and talk about. But you also do need to assess some of my debt, because my debt may be ridiculous.
But is the debt that I'm assisting with at this point, is that something that can build our future? Is
Well,
it
yeah.
so? If you had a student loan, and I'm dating you, I see a future with you, I want to marry you, or you're in school and I know that you're incurring all of this extra debt, that I start to take on some of that debt because I see a future in what you'll be able to bring to our relationship later on. So is it really an investment, or me just, you want to go out and shop all the time, so I'm just
No.
paying for all of that kind of
No,
stuff?
I wouldn't say that it would be just to throw the money away, but you have to think there are not a lot of people to that level that you're saying in regards to coming in and wanting to combine to where they would pay your student loans or your own personal
Exactly.
debt. Those people, I mean, there's a lot of people that would just be like, okay, yeah, we can do this house stuff, but your stuff is your stuff and my stuff is my stuff. And in some of those situations, I get it, but at the same time, we're never going to get to where we need to be
Right.
if we're still so separate and apart.
Ashley, how do you feel about finances?
I agree with both of y'all. I agree. I think that combining is a good thing, but I also like, cause you got to pay the bills regardless, right? And I also been in a situation where I dated somebody, we lived together, I made more than she made, so it wasn't fair to me that we go 50-50, right? If she made $20,000 less than me, why would I expect her to go 50-50? She's gonna be basically
Tapped out.
tapped out. And we
out.
didn't have
And
we didn't
coming
have
you on the
combined-
back end.
Did y'all
Yes.
move in? Did the place that y'all chose, or was it somebody moved in with you and you already had this? Let's say
Right.
this higher bill, or did y'all go find a place to move in
Yes.
together? Then you should have
Yes.
budgeted to where she was comfortable.
No,
But
but
that
we
might
were
have
though.
been
That's
where
what
she
we
was
did.
comfortable.
That's what we did. We budgeted to where we was comfortable. Actually, where we live, I didn't want to live there. I wanted to live somewhere that was nicer, but I felt like where we live was best for our budget, and we came to an agreement on that. It had the right amount of space that we wanted. It was safe. Okay, let's do it. But I mean, I do agree that I feel like when you're building towards a marriage, it's good for y'all to come together and try to eliminate that debt together, because
Absolutely.
in the future, if you want to buy a house together, car, whatever, they're gonna look at both of y'all
Exactly.
combined debt to income ratio. So why say your debt is yours? Like, I feel like if you're one, let's tackle this together.
Yeah,
And
That's my perspective on it.
And that's what I was going to say. I was going to say it just, like, as far as the finances, living together, okay, if we're deciding to take that step and move in together, then I agree with Ashley. When we go to look for an apartment, because we're not getting a house, we're not going there yet, but the apartment, then we need to get something that's going to fit the budget of both of us. Because if my partner says, well, I want to live over here and this is nicer, and I look at you and say, look, I can't afford that. So are you willing to pay
The difference.
the difference? If they say, okay, I'm like, you just make sure you understand that I can't.
Right, you paying that 60
Right.
and I'm paying that
We
40.
set a budget and this is where I'm at. So if you want to stay there. Now, if you want to keep it on level ground, then we stay here. Now, once we get to, if we're living together and we're doing that, cool. Once we get to talking about buying or purchasing a home or something together, then that's where I feel like that's the time where you sit down with each other and you talk about your debt. Because now you need to understand, first of all, we need to figure out what our debt is.
No, we need to talk about that before we get to buying a house.
Mhm.
Way
That's
before.
an
Way
early
before.
conversation.
Way before we get
Way
to the house.
before.
Because
But I'm saying when
I think
I'm
we
saying
can buy a
I'm
house
not.
next year, and no the hell we can't because you got $70,000.
Well, this is
for
what
the
I'm
debt.
saying. This is where I'm not saying that I wait until we're getting ready to buy a house. Okay, let's talk about it. No, when we're deciding that we're gonna plan on purchasing it together, like it's just the idea.
Do you not look at the type of debt and the amount of debt someone has onto how responsible they're going to be within your relationship? You don't equate that to.
I look
If
at
I-
that.
Like
I look at that
even though
because
I'm not saying it,
a
I'm
car
still
is
looking
different.
at all of that stuff. Like while we're living together, I'm taking all of this into account. So it's not to say that just because I'm saying let's sit down and have the conversation that we haven't paid attention or that we haven't learned some of a person's debt or learned something. I'm just saying if we're getting to a point where we're thinking about marriage. Okay, so if we're thinking about marriage, that means we're thinking about buying something together. So let's talk about it. It's not to say we about to buy a house this year or next year, but if this is where our minds are, this is where our mindset is now we need to start having certain conversations. Because like you said, Roxy, we don't want to wait until let's go buy a house, and then we get there and we looking at each other, that's what you had in debt? That's how, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just
That's
saying
not the right time.
there are
Yeah.
steps to getting up to that. I'm not saying wait until.
But I think what if you can correct me if I'm wrong, what you're getting at is most people have debts. Most Americans, they have debts. We all get into situations. We used to use our cars, whatever. But I'm pretty sure we all been in a situation where we dated or we've been in a relationship with people that just don't care.
Exactly.
Now, if you have the mindset, you in debt, you got X amount of debt, okay, cool. But your mindset is that you want to fix your debt. You want to be open and honest. Hey, you got a 400 credit score, but you want to improve it. Now, you have a 400 credit score, and you I don't care.
Right.
That's totally different.
Because to me,
I'm not even dating somebody like that.
Because even when you think about it, you have to think about when you're buying a house, you can't go get a car every 2 years.
No.
That's the thing. That's a conversation
Well,
that
if
you
you
have
lease
to
it.
have. I mean, but see,
There's
and that's
options.
and there's part of it too. You have to see if you want to own your car or if you want to lease your car. Like those are the type of conversations you need to have with your partner to figure out how you want to move forward, because that plays a part into your debt as well.
I dated somebody and we were just trying to rent a house because we were tired of living in apartments. We tried to get there. My credit was fine. I could get one, but like you said, you're combining. They're looking at both of you.
Exactly.
This is a conversation we hadn't. You mentioned certain
Hadn't
things.
had.
I had student
Yeah.
loans, something like that. Okay, no problem. We get there. They run the credit. They call me and they said, I will be more than willing to give you the home if it was just you. But your partner, credit, they don't care about anything. I suggest you look deeper into it. That's how I found out
Pretty
that
much
your
about
credit,
that
that
financial.
everything that you ever had,
It was late.
you left it. You walked away from it. It's in charge office. It's in collections. And I met you now that you're starting over, but you really haven't started over because now you're combining a 400 credit score. I don't care if you got an 800. When I look at it, that's only a what? 600. You still can't get anything. So you got to think about a whole lot. And what all am I really willing to sacrifice to rebuild this situation?
Yeah.
It's just
And if they're going to be reckless enough to keep fucking it up.
exactly.
Exactly.
You know-
Because even with that, you have to think about the fact that maybe you should put it in your name
No.
or in her name. Like I mean,
And
when
then you in
when
a
I say
situation
those are the type of conversations you have to
that you have to have.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you want to do it, but I'm saying that those are the type of conversations that you need to have when you're talking about moving to the next step with somebody.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. I've been
I
in a
get that.
situation
I get
where I've paid off somebody credit. Did they appreciate that? No, what they do? They just ran it right back up.
It's a mentality.
It's
but
a mentality thing. You know what I'm saying? When you drop that money and then
Anyone out there? I
And
promise.
Nick said if anybody is out there that wants to help her, pay hers. She
I
will
mean,
never run it back up.
No, not help, but do, right?
I just want to go ahead.
I said help or pay. I said help. I put the pay in there.
Okay.
I said help or pay. She's willing to be like, hey, it ain't gonna go back up. She good.
I mean, ultimately, it goes deeper to. Let's be real. I don't know how many people at this table was taught financial literacy as
You
which
better
I
preach.
wasn't.
You
A
better
lot of us
Nah,
wasn't.
I was
Definitely not.
So
Now that's a whole nother conversation about being
Right.
taught that in the black community.
Just work
Yes.
till you die. That's what
Yes.
I was taught.
Yeah,
Work,
exactly.
work till you die.
And when I started
and
my-
you gotta live.
Yes.
So, spend on yourself and stuff like that. They say that,
That-
but at
You
the
gotta
same
enjoy
time,
life.
You gotta
ain't
enjoy
nobody
life.
tell me about no
Your-
interest
but babe,
rates.
you
I
only
gotta
live
go.
once.
I gotta pay for this. What are you talking about?
Right.
Or that fact, well, you can't take it to the grave.
Can't take it with you.
But let me
But
ask y'all
I would
this
like
question.
to leave it to somebody.
Exactly. But so how do you handle somebody that you with them, you trying to build with them, but they are that person that's okay with putting co-signing for their family and friends?
Ooh.
That's
How
a
do you
negative.
deal with that?
That's a
I don't
negative.
believe in that.
And we need to
I don't
talk about this and maybe separate.
Maybe
I
separate.
cannot do that.
But they may not be educated as to why that is
See,
bad.
that's what
A lot
I
of
said.
people
You
don't
need
know.
to talk about it. You need to talk about it.
Yeah.
And if they can't understand where you're coming from, y'all can't work together and figure this thing out, then maybe y'all don't need to be together.
Yes,
This is what-
it's a conversation.
This is
That's
what
a big conversation because I would rather help my family build their credit back up than to put my name on the line.
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm not putting my name on anything.
the more
Do
I'm
you
gonna tell
look
you
at
all, the more I've learned about credit, and that was one of the things because during this quarantine, I told you, Ashley, I've taken a webinar about credit, and the one thing that they discussed was not putting your name, that co-signing thing. So now I'm even at a point where I'm just like, I don't want to do it. Whereas before, I probably would have. But that's where I feel like education comes in. Because once you become educated, you realize that's not the move. So if I'm dating someone, I'm going to let you know. I understand if I'm dating somebody and their family means the world to them. That is cool. But I need you to understand, if we're working on something for ourselves and to build, we can't do that. Like, how are you? You can't help somebody until you've helped yourself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, if I'm Oprah or somebody, I probably still won't put my name. I just give you the money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that's about the only way that I'm gonna do that. Otherwise, I don't see myself doing that.
Yeah, I
And
feel you.
especially after when you know better, you do better. And so
Absolutely.
from what I've learned, I'm sorry. No,
Yeah, I can't
I'm
do
not.
it.
And
So-
I'm not asking anybody else.
So you think you should apologize to your parents for putting their co-signing, putting them in that position?
Apologize to my parents for what?
Like my mom co-signed for me, and she
Baby,
made
I
it
don't have
very,
to,
very
I
clear
don't mean no
that
harm
I'd
to my
rather.
mama, but I
My
don't have
father
to apologize.
co-signed
She
for
ain't
my
co-signed
first
nothing.
car. Well,
Yeah.
my first car was in my parents' name, and when I totaled it out, and I got another car that I'm still driving to this day, thank God. My dad co-signed on it, and then
I don't know nothing. I don't know anything about
No.
that.
But that's
I
sometimes
think
having
that's
a black co-signer is worse than having a bank behind you, because they will call you.
But I
you
think
10
that's a
days
different
out.
situation with it being your parents co-signing for you versus like we're in a situation where I've done fairly well for myself, right? But my family hasn't done that, so they look at me like
the
you
one
got
who
it.
the-
you
you got
got
it.
it.
You
got it.
Oh,
Right? Yeah.
the one, I don't have any kids.
Mhm.
You got it.
They count
So
your pockets.
they count my pockets. So they look at me and like the ATM, right? They're
Yeah.
always constantly calling me for something. And when I got with, and I would always give it. And when I got with her, I was just, explaining to her, and then she was just like, "Look, this got to stop. It has to cease. They grown. They're gonna have to figure it out, right?"
And it wasn't more so if we couldn't afford to help them out. We weren't helping them. We were hurting them
Yeah,
by
Because you're
constantly
hindering them.
hindering them from
all
growth.
you're doing is enabling that behavior.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, because my dad co-signed for me a car. I was like 22. Like, that car has been paid off like 5 years.
And they bring it up.
And no, it's been paid off like 5 years. And I mean, it's just one of them things where I just haven't got it in the car. Like, you know, it's just one of them things where I'm not worried about it. Like, having car note free is wonderful. Because
Yes,
the car
it
note
is.
these days, it's ridiculous.
Ridiculousness.
Awesome.
So, well, I thought that was light, Roxy.
It was not.
I don't think anything with relationships is light.
Well,
From what is
No.
what is
let's
turned out.
talk about something else.
Okay. So, okay, I think this is kind of lighter. Well, I don't know. So, gender roles.
That's definitely not lighter.
It's not lighter.
I
but
think we
kinda
did
light.
better.
It's
I
better.
feel like kind of light.
I
So-
think that'd be light.
Okay, when
I
it comes to
think so.
gender roles, I want to
I think
say
so.
we did get some questions from one of our Instagram
Okay.
followers.
Yeah, I saw that comment, and I was
So
like,
she
oh.
actually gave us 3.
Okay. What was the
So we'll start off with this one. Do you feel like gender roles benefit or hurt relationships?
I feel like they hurt them.
Why?
Because I feel like it's me, if I'm with somebody and she like to cut the grass, and I'd be like, no, you can't cut the grass because that's a masculine thing.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I to tell her? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like you can't define the roles in the households based off, first of all, traditional heterosexual relationships. That's all
Absolutely
it's
not.
based off of.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that because I like cooking. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's things, I just feel like do what you like to do.
Right. I piggyback off that and go to, even with most women that I've dated, don't like taking out the trash.
Amen.
Okay.
Hallelujah.
So, this is my thing. If I'm gone and you sit there and let the trash pile up till I get there,
Oh no.
I will lose my fucking mind when I walk back in the house
Oh,
or in the
no.
garage
No,
and
It's
it's
not to
trash.
that level.
No,
I live by
I'm
myself
just
too
saying,
long
you have
to-
some people
No.
who are like that.
Like,
you
that's
have
not
some
my
people who are
job?
like that. Like,
Yeah.
that's not
That
my
is true.
job.
Oh, no.
And
No,
I'm
no,
like, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, that ain't gonna work because if I go out of town for a week and I normally wash dishes, but I come home and I see a sink full of dishes, you best believe you about to see a different side of Amy because I'm cussing coming
Oh,
straight
yeah.
through the
I
door.
can't believe you ain't washing these dishes. You let
You-
some
I'm
dishes
like, you
sit in
done
the
lost
sink
your
for
whole
4
mind.
days? 4 nights?
And if you
First
think,
of all,
if
you
you
let some
think,
dishes sit in the sink before you went to bed.
Ooh.
I hate that.
and if you
Ooh.
think I'm about to wash them, you got me all the way fucked up.
I hate it.
But it's more of a respect thing. If I know that this is something like you gone for a week and you come back to some dirty dishes, I wouldn't welcoming you home.
Yeah.
In that case, that's the way I look at
Exactly.
it. Like, well, you really don't care about nothing. We like she usually takes out the garbage, but it's not something that we just assume to roll. If I notice that the garbage is full, I'm gonna go take it out. It's just
Plain and
she may
simple.
notice it before I do, depending on where it's at.
Okay, so her second question was, do you feel pressure to conform to gender roles because a partner tends to lean toward them?
No.
No.
I mean, it may be a
It's a
disagreement.
conversation. It's a conversation. I
Yeah,
feel like
definitely
it's
a
a mindset, so you have to have that conversation with your partner.
Well, let me say this because this is the thing. We're all speaking in terms because we're all women where I guess I can say this for everybody, y'all aren't just set on a label, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so
Right.
I've dated studs that are stuck on that label of being a stud. So, and I mean, I won't say that I just don't like it because I could date someone long as you're not a touch me not, but that's another story.
Oh Lord.
But
Is that
I will say that I do feel like when I've dated those type of women that I felt like I had to be a certain way because but I knew this going into dating them. You know what I'm saying? And so I want you to feel comfortable in your skin. So if I know there are certain things that you just not going for, period, point blank, then I'll cover that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I do feel the need to conform. If I'm dating
A complete.
Because let's be truthful, everybody. I mean, we all can say, "Oh, I don't like labels," but there are
Hard.
studs out there.
There
that
are people who just like labels.
Yeah.
that are
And
hard.
studs and femmes as
That-
well.
yeah.
And femmes.
There's some pillow princesses
You're right.
out there.
Absolutely.
No, but I mean, I know films that feel like because I'm dating a stud, I've personally experienced a woman that felt like you are a stud. Why aren't you sagging? Why are you wearing button downs? Why don't you have gold? They feel like you have to conform to this certain person.
Yeah,
When you talk about gold in your mouth, baby, that's a little ratchet.
I like a little ratchet.
A little ratchet, you know?
Because sagging ain't got nothing to do with it.
But it's the whole point
I was
of
like, do
some
people
people
even
feel like
sag
you have to
anymore?
fit into a box.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole point. And
But so the question is, did you feel the need to conform to what she wanted?
I felt the need that this one for me. And
No.
I needed to be like, you know what? It's cool.
So you tried
I'm not
it.
free. No, I didn't try nothing. I tried to unlock that door and leave. That's what I tried. That's not me. But I feel like both studs and film had that mentality of
Some do.
you need to play this
Some.
masculine role. You need to play this
Some
feminine
people
role.
do, and I think it's more so on those people who are really stuck in the labels of, hard stud, true femme. But for me, gender roles is what don't you like doing? What do I like doing?
Exactly.
And let's go from there because I don't like touching the trash. I don't like putting gas in my car. Things like that. Can you do that?
And that's why I'm at with it
Okay,
now.
thank you.
I've dated those type of women, and I realize now that's not what I want. Because it's like you said, Roxy, for me it's just a matter of what I just don't like
I
taking
just
out
don't
the trash.
like it.
I don't care who it is.
But you know what? It's also a thing where, me personally, I have dated somebody before who was just too independent for me. And it wasn't about gender roles or anything. It was just like, I can do this by myself. I can do this. Like, baby, I'm trying to put gas in your car so you can have a good week. We go out. I'm trying to pay for the food.
That do
like,
some
you don't want
things.
to pay for it. I'm like, okay. I'm just like,
But
all
I
right.
think that sometimes that's just because people are not used to it too. You have to think
Yeah,
about what
absolutely.
their background has been in regards to that, and really trying to figure out whether or not it's just something that they're not used to, or is this something that they are like. I can't rely on you, period. And so once you get to the bottom of that, I think that it would be better.
Or they had a bad experience. They may have allowed somebody to do that,
And then they do it in
person
their face.
went back and threw it in their face. So
That
it's
time
just-
was it, because at that time, at that point, I didn't
Like,
even
I've been
deal
doing
with it.
X, Y, and Z for you, and this and that.
I owe you.
I
kind
can't
of mentality.
stand when people throw stuff back in your face. Like, that is, like, literally the most...
It's the worst.
So this
That's
kind
the
of
worst
brings
thing
us
to do.
into the last question that they presented. So, what tactics do you use to avoid gender roles in relationships? Where you're in now, let's say you're in a relationship now where your partner wants to explore more freedom and just loving one another, just loving who you are. What tactics do you use to avoid gender roles?
I feel like
do
it's all
you?
about communication.
Yeah, I
It's
think
really
there's a
I think at the
tactic.
end of the day, the best thing for a successful relationship is communication. And honestly, like, I'm guilty of having those flaws, like, at a younger age. Now that I'm in my 30s, like, it's different. Like, in my 20s, I wasn't trying to hear that.
Yeah.
Like, but now that I'm older, it's different. You have a different mindset. You have a different mentality. So it's more so like, hey, you know what? We really need to communicate on how we can move forward together, and what's the best path for us to grow.
That's one.
Yeah, and one of my friends would always say, just let people be great. Like, just let them be great at what they gonna be great at. If they take out the trash and they cool with taking out the trash, let them take the goddamn trash. If they want to pay, let them pay. If they want to, whatever it is that they're doing, just let them naturally do those things for you, and you do the other shit, like the cooking and all that.
So what if both of y'all,
Sorta.
the things that you both enjoy doing is the same? Like,
But we
Y'all
gotta
can do
split
it together.
We gotta split it.
That-
We can
Y'all can do it
that
together,
that
or
was
y'all can do
very
it
difficult
separate.
for us because I'm used to
cleaning and stuff
taking
like that.
care of things.
Mhm.
Like we go out to eat, I'm gonna pay that bill, and she's just like, no, I'm gonna pay it. And for us in the beginning of our relationship, that
That's a
was
struggle.
very
That was an
difficult.
argument, huh?
It wasn't an argument.
it was just a compromise. Like,
It didn't feel comfortable for me initially.
yeah, for
Okay.
both of us, it was like, she paying for everything. Like, I don't want her to think that I'm with her
For her money.
Because she's
for
paying
what she
yeah.
can provide for me. I want her to understand that I'm really interested in her as a person. I want to get to know her as a person, and she doesn't gifts and things like that isn't my love language.
Yeah.
Now, if it was hers and that's what she like to do, then I have to realize if that's what's going to happen. Can you balance the two? So it just learning each other. It was interesting.
Struggle.
So that kind of covers, because I was gonna ask like about like splitting house chores and cleanliness, but I think we touched on
Clean
that.
up for me.
Yeah.
huh?
It's all about what you like.
So also in relationships, celebrating holidays. How does that?
I know she's looking at me. What you looking at me for?
all
Big on
about-
holidays.
I am huge.
You're
On holidays.
huge, and it's all about you, your family.
Okay, listen, this is the thing. We have traditions to uphold, okay? And so in a relationship space, I need you to respect it.
But let me say this in Roger's defense, because you have been in relationships where people didn't actually conform to that.
No, they did
So
not.
you can compromise. It's not like it's not what you want to do, but I'm saying that you have. You have been in
I
relationships
have been
where
in
you have.
spaces where they have went to their home. I
Yeah, you
have went to
compromise
my
in
home.
being separate, not in being together.
Okay, so so is the expectation that they be at your home for every holiday?
Yes.
That's the expectation.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So
Yes.
what about their family and their friends? Can you not
I
alternate?
typically, but honestly, I don't know how this happens. I don't. But when I date people, they don't really fuck with their family like that.
Oh,
Like,
so you
on
trying
on the holidays, like they don't care to go home, and it's always like, oh, we need to spend it with your people. But that one situation that she's referring to, we did spend them separately because it was more so like, okay, well, I'm used to seeing my people. It's Virgo and Virgo together, like that type of thing. Like, I'm used to seeing my people on it. Well, I am too. So what we gonna do? You gonna go separate.
So at this
Okay.
point, are you willing to compromise?
I'm willing to compromise with Thanksgiving, Valentine's,
Well,
and
Valentine's.
with their family?
So wait a minute. So the only holidays you're willing to compromise is
It's
Thanksgiving.
And she bet. Hold on, wait. Hold on, wait.
You got 4th of July, you got Memorial Day,
Wait,
and Labor
whoa,
Day.
whoa, whoa.
Let's put
I'm
a
just saying,
disclaimer
it's
about this
traditional.
one.
Juneteenth.
Let's put a
Juneteenth.
disclaimer
Okay.
about this one.
We don't
With this
celebrate
one right
4th
here,
of July around here.
Even with Thanksgiving, you need to be back for Black Friday because she gonna shop.
yeah, and I need to shop with my family.
And she needs to shop with her family.
Oh, it's
So-
on that level.
You have to.
That's
like,
what it is.
that's just who
this
she
is
is.
the thing.
So
like,
not every other Christmas.
Not every other like Christmas.
I never said Christmas. I never
Christmas-
said that was an
Christmas
option.
Yeah.
wasn't even
No,
in
I'm
the
just
compromise
saying.
plan.
Saying this is me mom's last time. Every Christmas we can't go to the house.
Yeah, we'll go for me, Mom, but we need to be back.
Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Now we
No, we can be back early Christmas Day.
She will compromise.
I will compromise. It's not that I'm not that hard up on it. I just haven't experienced it to where I had to compromise. But I feel like I would compromise in that situation.
As long as you're open to it.
Yes, I definitely would be open to it. We could spend the first 2 days with your people and the last 2 with mine. And I would prefer the latter instead of the before. But you know.
But y'all, we're laughing, but I've seen this. I know people who are married, and they're both close to their moms, but they don't live with their mothers or near them. So Mother's Day is a a battle.
A holiday.
Mother's Day is a battle because it's like, who do you go? And one of the people that I'm speaking of, she believes we together, we spend holidays together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, can we go
Separately. No.
Yeah. And it's like, but the other person's like, I'm gonna always spend Mother's Day with my mama.
And I think that Mother's Day situation can be the compromise that y'all go separately. All the other holidays you show as a united front, but to ask me to sacrifice, and I love being with my mom, to go and be with yours, and that and just be that our relationship. This is a set rule in our relationship. Then you're not compromising your
But
relationship.
what
Well,
about
you
when
putting
there's
a compro-
children involved?
Then we gotta rotate.
When it's children involved, maybe it's
We-
Mother's Day for
for
us
us,
at
yeah.
home.
That's
Mhm.
And then, you know.
And our
we'll
mothers
see
can
our
come to
mamas
us.
one day.
But see, we saying this until you date somebody that's that is in love with their mama.
Yeah. What, Brian, you in love?
I see a bunch of side eyes.
No, I love my mama, but no, my mother doesn't celebrate holidays, so it makes it
So it
even
is
easier for me. So I don't have to deal with that.
You said
But
Jehovah's Witness, right?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So she doesn't celebrate holidays. So when it comes to like Christmas holiday, what we gonna do? Are we gonna have family here? Things like that. And we make compromises to make sure that we can include my mother in things that's non-holiday related. So I don't have to have that guilt of, okay, I'm not spending these holidays with my mom. I'm not spending this quality time with her. Because that's all the holidays is really about
Our
is quality
moms are
time.
like, oh, you've been in Tennessee for a week with her family and her mom. I'm like, yeah. And so she kind of tries to throw the guilt trip on you. And then the same with her mom, like, oh, you've been in North Carolina for a week. But it is what it
I talk to
is.
my mom every morning, every afternoon. Like, my mother calls me when she goes to work. We have a conversation because that literally wakes me up to go to work.
Baby,
And when she gets off work, she calls me.
my mom ain't even call
And
me
you're
on my
currently in
birthday.
a relationship?
And I'm
She
in a
sent me
relationship.
something for my birthday, sent me some money, and she made a Facebook post. But see, I know my mama is obsessed with Facebook, so I know that means everything, you know. So it just depends on
It
the
just
relationships
depends. It
that
just
you
depends
have
on
with
the
your parents.
relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
That's true.
Okay, so to kind of wrap up relationships, the last question is, so this is just talking about moving into that next stage of marriage. So do you all have a time limit of being in a relationship before you transition to marriage? What are your expectations? And do you even want to get married for those that are not?
Well, I am not married. This is Roxy, guys. I do aspire to be one day. But the time frame in regards to a relationship, I just feel like as long as it naturally flows into that, I do not have a specific, oh, it gotta be at least 1 year and a half or something. No, I don't have that.
So y'all can be in a relationship for 10 years and not be married.
No. What? No, I mean the shortness. You talking about the long side? No, we cannot be in a relationship for 10 years without being married. What are we doing? Because that means that we didn't discuss that I wanted to be married.
True.
So that's just us being in a relationship forever. I feel like, yeah. So.
Nikki?
I'm still on the fence about marriage, but I look at marriage as more of a business standpoint rather than like
a lot of people do.
because
I get that.
like, because at the same time, like, if something happens to me, I have to go to the hospital. I don't want my mom coming in talking about, oh no, put her on the ventilator. When I have been living with my girlfriend forever and we've had these conversations, and I'm like, no, don't put me through that.
Yeah.
But my mom is going to overrule her.
Right.
So I look at it as a business standpoint but I mean, I do it for love too, but I look at it as like a business as well. And I feel like you have to have that hindsight to look at it both ways.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
I totally agree with that. Like,
Especially in lesbian relationships.
Especially.
exactly.
It's
That's what she
is
just
that
said, though.
because it's business, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Bank accounts, everything. I'm not gonna have access to anything.
And
if
we've
you
all
pass
heard
away.
stories,
Right.
unfortunately, where people pass on and now their partners can't even, they're not
Their
even allowed
partner
at
is
the-
literally
in the
out on the
home.
street. Especially if their partner was the provider.
Yeah.
And if their name was on everything,
Mm.
you
Yeah,
know.
so it's a tough situation to be in, but like you said, a marriage is a partnership. In partnership, you gotta know she doesn't want, if she wants to be buried at home, and her family like, I don't care to be buried, I want to be cremated, but somebody else comes in and now they're gonna make their own sentimental wishes against what I want. So that's a whole different thing.
And that's the thing, because you've talked to your people about stuff when you were younger.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're an adult, like it's different. You've had, especially you sleeping next to somebody every night. Y'all have had these conversations, so they know exactly what you want.
Yeah.
Right.
Your parents at this point, they really don't know you as well as they think they do.
Mm-hmm.
They don't.
And Ashley, what are you?
Yeah, I want to get married.
Just like, what are do you have a time limit? Like, how long before you get married?
No, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in time frames, because I've seen people that put that time frame on it and it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And I've 100% seen people that knew they wanted to marry the person the day they met them. And they still
That's what I
married
want.
10 years later. And I like that free-flowing relationship. Let's just go with the flow and do what we want to do. So I don't, but like Roxy said, I ain't trying to be married. I ain't trying to be in a relationship for 10 years. And what
we doing?
I'm not about to be your little friend sitting on the back row. No.
Your special friend on the obituary.
I don't know. Okay,
Probably
so
won't make the obituary.
so the marriage topic is a little, I don't know, for me. Like, this is the thing for me. I won't say I don't want to be married. I won't say I do want to be married. If that's what my partner wants, which every partner I've had, they aspire to be married. I am cool with that. I just want you to know that that's what you want to do. I would be okay just being in a committed relationship. But if my partner wants to get married, yes. And then speaking, like Nikki said, the business part of it. I think that's what will push me to get married. Because if we've been together and we decide, and you say you want to get married, and I'm thinking to myself, yes. Plus, I want to adopt. So, I just feel like then, yeah, we should be, if I'm in a relationship and we adopt together, we need to be married. So, that's kind of where I'm at with it. So, but I think, y'all, this relationship topic has sent me.
I know. I need a shot.
So that's probably what we're gonna do. Is take a shot. But we're gonna go ahead and close this out. I think we all have made all the remarks that we can make. Well, probably not all that we can make, because I'm sure we got a lot more.
Right.
But we hope you all have enjoyed part 1 and part 2 of relationships. We hope we have made you all think about some things, maybe rethink some things. If you have any questions, comments, anything regarding any topic that we have spoke on throughout these 2 episodes, please let us know. We're on Instagram at Let's Have Cocktails, YouTube, LHC Podcasts, Spotify, Let's Have Cocktails, and Apple, Let's Have Cocktails. And you can email us at letshavecocktails@gmail.com. We want to thank our guests, Ra and D.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
So, and with that being said,
We'll drink to that.
we'll drink to that, and we'll catch you all on the next episode.